do evaluate the mangrove trimming as well for preservation of it being kept in a more natural state than some other locations that wouldn't be classified as a sanctuary.
We did consider, taking kind of a hard line and saying no mangrove trimming, but then we realized these people are our neighbors, and they want to be able to have at least a limited view of the water, and so if we work with them and kind of give them a little, then we can continue to be here. Our agreement is, could be canceled within the 30-day notice, and we don't want it to be canceled because this is essentially one of the last areas along the Westshore area of Old Tampa Bay that hasn't been dredged so that people could bring their boats right up next to their property. So when you're out here, you're going to be at the edge of the mangroves, and then you'll see that the bay itself is very shallow water out there. There are oyster bars, little sandbars. We've got
there's a little peninsula of a sand area that's all natural habitat as well, and so like you said, there's this little cove and tidal flat area is like one of the last ones on Westshore. Like you said, it hasn't been dredged and hasn't been altered. There is a stretch, obviously, on the west end, on the south side, that has been dredged along the property lines, but it ends at the sanctuary boundary, and so this is a very unique area where you can really see a lot of wading birds, fish habitat, oysters, manatees. So it's quite a little gem here all along the Westshore area where it's been developed since the 40s, 30s, and only grown more recently. And so the mangroves, a lot of the sanctuary area, the main sanctuary area, doesn't have any trimming going on. So it's really just some of the abutting neighbors that have a view. And like Ann was saying, we have to be good stewards, because if people don't value and see the value in protecting and preserving and appreciating these types of sanctuary areas, then they're not going to want to protect it and be a good steward themselves. So it's a balancing act that we have to maintain. And for the most part, I feel like people have been really happy with how the sanctuary has protected their properties and protected wave and wind energy from hurricanes that we've been dealing with the last few years. And over the years, back in the day, this used to be a Christmas tree drop-off. Everyone in the neighborhood would go down this path, and I swear to you, there was like 20, 30 sometimes Christmas trees. And so for a few years, when I first got hired, we worked really hard with kind of communicating to the surrounding neighbors, letting them know that this is not a private dumping area for their Christmas trees for their neighborhood. And if you go down that path right now, you will see that there is no Christmas trees. So just, again, working with the neighborhood, working with the property owners, explaining to them why we have this as a reserve and a sanctuary, that it's supposed to be protected, goes a long way, just having an open communication. And then, bless the sweet little kids' hearts in this neighborhood, I'm guilty of it too when I was younger, but they used to make forts and do all of these really cool paths, but unfortunately they were actually disturbing the mangroves and impacting the mangroves and clearing some of the natural vegetation to create their little fort structures. So we had to inform them as well that they couldn't keep doing that, and we had to dismantle it. And I think it was like 3 years in a row we ended up having to do that. And then the last couple of years, the few times we've been out here, there hasn't been any new established forts or paths that the kids have cut.
So that's one of the things to be on our lookout for. I think what it was is that kid graduated from high school.
He probably went to college. He's out of here.
Now they're looking at screens. They don't care about being
That's
outside
right.
anymore.
It was one of the best forts I've seen. I mean, it had brick floors. It had a little sun deck. It was
Those guys worked hard, but we worked hard too when we dismantled it. So, but anyway, so today when we're out picking up trash, you know, if you can get the plastic, for sure. If you come across glass, that's okay. Get that and bring it in. We know glass eventually becomes sand, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But we don't want the screw-on top out there. So any plastic, if you see other debris that you're not comfortable with leaving in the sanctuary, bring it out. Wood boards will dissolve eventually and be part of the sanctuary, but we've been bringing a lot of them out. So that's up to you if you feel like it cannot stay in my sanctuary, because this is our sanctuary. It belongs to all of us, you know, collectively, and we're here to defend it. So the tide will come in and out while we're doing this, or in or out. But you know, you can get your feet dirty. It's muddy in there, very muddy. So, you know, just be careful. One of the things to be careful of particularly are the oysters. The edges of the oysters are really sharp, so don't get cut. I always say, everybody looks at me funny, let's keep the red stuff inside our bodies. Let's don't let the red stuff leak out. So be careful about the oysters. But Todd always brings a first aid kit, and if you get a cut, you want to be very careful about that. So anybody have any questions particularly? Yeah.
So